The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me. Do you think that you could repeat the question and I listen more attentively? There must have been something in all of that nothing that wasn't quite so easy to see. And I must have missed something when you were just talking to me.
Alrighty. Try and get this show on the road, I think, maybe at some point, right? We're already late. And I want to blame the mayor, but it's actually my fault at this point. I tried to blame the mayor until he actually brought something up that made it my fault, so what am I going to do? Oh, I'm so going to kick his ass today. Oh, my God, I've been waiting for this all week. I've been waiting for this all week. Alrighty. Hey, how you guys doing? My name's Tom Duggan here with the Paying Attention Podcast. Hi, it's up. Two Guys Smoke Shop at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. And if you're driving up and down Main Street, is it Main Street here in Salem, New Hampshire? I think it's Main Street, right?
Route 28.
Broadway. Broadway. If you're driving up and down Broadway in Salem, New Hampshire, stop in at Two Guys Smoke Shop. Get yourself some cigars. We love the guys here at Two Guys Smoke Shop. They've always been very supportive of us. And up on the second floor of Two Guys Smoke Shop here, we have Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. Few things to get to before we get to our guests. Some house cleaning to do. We have our scholarship kids from the bash. We had to cancel. We had to cancel the bash. It's very sad that we had to cancel the bash this year. We tried everything that we could to try and find a way to make the bash happen, and it just looks like it's probably not going to happen. So we were going to do something in August. Then we were looking at maybe September, but in September is when we start planning for next year's bash. And I didn't want to ramp up to September for a bash, then get a second wave of COVID-19, and then have to shut everything down again and then not do it. So,
Can we just stop there for a second? Did he just say what I think he said, Mr. Producer?
Did he say?
Did he say get a second wave?
So
out of the mouth of the uncaring one.
So this is what he said last week that pissed me off. So now I'm going to suspend the bash conversation. I'm going to ask Mr. Perry my first question, and we're going to go back to the bash. So what is it that you think my position is on COVID-19? Because you make these comments as if you think you know my position, but when I hear the comments, it doesn't represent my position at all. So what is my position on COVID-19?
Your position is it's overblown and overdramatic.
Right, that's true.
Okay, so I think do I get an A+?
No,
yeah.
But no, because your comments sound as though I don't believe it exists.
No, you just
like when I
said
the second
previously
wave.
you poo-pooed second wave. You've come around.
No.
That means for all those people that say, "Why do you do that show? That guy thinks so different than you do." In diversity, there is strength of thought.
Right.
This is why we talk to each other. Right.
Right.
So I am proud that a little bit of me is rubbing off on.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how that
text.
I'm still trying to figure out how you could think that. Because I've never said that COVID doesn't exist. So if it exists, obviously there's a possibility of a second wave.
Are you going to do the math? Are you going to do the math?
We can do. We can do facts and data.
When I say
like.
second wave, it pisses you off. When you reduce it to a math equation, that pisses me off.
Well, but you're the facts and data guy.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be Mr. Facts and Data. So when I give you the facts, you dismiss it.
No.
You talk over me.
No.
And then you talk about loving people and life, and if it's one person, it's too much.
I do.
And so I'm just trying to figure out
show me somebody who's anxious to die.
Well, there's a few people, but they can do it themselves. I've got a few recommendations too, by the way.
Stop that.
No.
Jeez.
No, but COVID, we all agree COVID-19 is real. I don't think anybody thinks it's not real.
It's real and it's dangerous.
And it is dangerous, but it's not as dangerous as the press has hyped it. It's not as dangerous as our politicians have hyped it.
That's Tom Duggan's view.
And
that's not the mayor's view.
And that's what the facts and the data says.
Now,
the facts and the data show that it's not nearly as dangerous as they said. It's not nearly as contagious as they said.
The facts and the data say that the city of Methuen has done a good job.
That's true.
Right?
I agree with that.
It doesn't mean, but the facts and the data say because I publish every Wednesday now, and people like the statistics. The facts and the data say that people are still getting it.
Yep.
That whereas, earlier in like March and April, it was devastating to our senior population, and that's where most of the deaths were caused.
Mm-hmm.
It's now ramped up significantly in the 20 to 39 age group has grown exponentially. And my fear is that age group thinks this is over. I can go hang out at the beach. I've seen pictures of Falmouth, of beaches, nearby where people are clustered. And I got to be honest with you, I live in abject fear economically and health-wise that worse is coming back because we were paralyzed in March and April.
Mm-hmm. Wrongfully, I think. That's where we disagree.
We disagree.
Yeah. I don't think shutting down an entire...
Respectfully,
there's no evidence that shutting down the country did anything because we still have it. People are still getting it. People are still dying.
People in Florida would disagree with you right now. How did it work for them when they opened
The people in the 7 states that never shut down, continued going to school, continued having their businesses open, have no higher numbers than the ones that did.
What are those 7? Give me one of those 7.
Nebraska.
Okay. So I think one of the things, since you're a facts and data guy, and I know we agree on that, you got to look at...
Joe's loving this, by the way. He's...
Yeah,
he doesn't even want to talk. He's just
waiting my
this.
turn.
I'm just thrilled. Joe's he's a Methuen businessman, so I'm here for him. So when you look at Nebraska, the per capita population, is it close to New York? Is it close to Florida? Is it close to California? Come on, let's get real.
No, but we've adjusted for the population. We've adjusted per capita. So if you look at the number of people who got the virus per capita in Nebraska versus the number of people per capita in New York. The states that didn't shut down had very, very little difference between those who shut down and those who didn't.
But you're ignoring another fact.
All right.
So why was Lawrence? I'll give you a local neighborhood fact, right? One that I don't believe in. People. So Lawrence
spiked
huge numbers,
right? Because of all the nursing homes,
right? Well, and because of the clustered living,
right?
The proximity of people living to each other,
and 15 nursing homes in a 6 square mile area.
Methuen had a number not as high as Lawrence, but it was significant.
Fewer nursing homes,
but a little bit more spread out spaces. Mm-hmm. Lawrence is 7 square miles. Methuen's 27. Mm-hmm. That's a fact, Mr. Producer. And put that down. Teach him later.
Put that in the record.
Yep. Okay, then magically, when you come to the border here, right? A fun fact that has always amazed me: COVID stops at the New Hampshire border.
Yeah.
I mean, whoa! The magic curtain was up, and nothing came across the border.
Isn't it amazing?
It's completely fictitious.
Well, but how come then? We'll get to the real show in a minute.
Yeah.
How come then when people come into New Hampshire like me, the only people who are wearing masks? I was in Market Basket in Salem yesterday
with Joe and I.
And I was looking.
We're smart.
I was looking for my Borelli Deli meats, but they didn't have any Borelli Deli meats. And I went in and I
shameless ad right there.
I wasn't sure if I should wear my mask or not, and I went over to the guy. I said, "Should I wear a mask?" He said, "You must be from Mass."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "The only people wearing masks around here are people from Massachusetts." Yeah. And New Hampshire's numbers have not spiked significantly, and they're not wearing masks, and they're not socially distancing, and it's still
so
boggles my...
ask the bigger question, Tom.
Which is
the Hampshire Department of Public Health reporting? Are they actively so? And I say this to you. So, and I say to the residents of Methuen, when you look at the state's numbers that are published every Wednesday, I take great pride in the fact that not for me, the nurses that work for our city, Amy Ewing, who's going to a new job in a different city, and the school nurses and the volunteers that helped her, they understood contact tracing before the state understood contact tracing, and they got involved and they got into it. And our numbers in Methuen that we publish locally, they are almost a dead match for the state. You show me another city that's got that, right?
Right.
So you see wide discrepancies, at least in the early going, between some of the cities and what the state was reporting. You didn't see that in Methuen.
So if I can agree with you that COVID is real and it's dangerous, but not as dangerous as the hype has been, why can't you come to the middle a little bit and say, you know what, you're right, Tom, it is dangerous, but CNN hyped this a little too much. The politicians hyped this a little too much.
I don't watch CNN. I don't watch Fox.
Well, that's a problem.
Watch MSNBC.
That's a problem. You're an elected official. You should be following the daily news.
I do. I read a magazine I get every week called The Week. I'd highly encourage you to do it.
Epic Times?
The Week. It's called The Week.
Right, but you should also
get
the Epic Times.
And it says, here's the issue. Here's what the left is saying. Here's what the right's saying. Make up your own mind.
I like that.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I wish the media was more like that.
Yeah,
right
no
there.
kidding, right?
Yeah, I do.
And
Well,
that's
that's what
the
we try to
reason,
do on
Joe,
this show.
I try not to watch because, and people will hate, even some of the local news channels are filtered.
Right.
You're getting somebody else's perspective on the news, right? And
Instead
so,
of just the news.
yeah.
Right. Except in the Valley Patriot, when we do news, it's just straight news. I mean, you may not like my
I
editorials.
took a big breath there. Did you see
I know,
that?
but you might not like my editorials. But when I do a straight news story about what you did with your budget or
Yeah.
what city, it's straight news. There's no opinion woven into that.
Yeah, well, I don't always agree with you, as you know, but I do entertain myself reading your editorial.
All right, very good,
Yeah.
very good. Sitting with me also, we'll get to the Lawrence High School, we'll get to the scholarship stuff in a second. But I feel like he's been here for so long, we should introduce him. Also sitting with Neil Perry and
He
myself
didn't have
tonight.
a beard when we started this.
No.
Oh, wow, I need a shave.
It's because we waited so long for you to get here. Sitting to my left with myself and me and Neil Perry is our good friend from 4-Star Lighting, Joe Silverio. And he was with us a couple of weeks ago with Ryan DeZoglio from the school committee. And next week, I think we've got Nick DeZoglio. He was supposed to be here today. And I think we screwed up and we got Neil Perry today. And we're going to have Nick DeZoglio next week. Before we get into any local stuff, let me just do this real quick. And I know that we're already stretched on time. I don't have a counter up there, so I don't know how long we've wasted on this.
A little jab at the producer.
No. Listen, please don't fire him.
Yeah.
Anytime I say, "Gee, the producer today," he looked at me a little funny. The guy's fired. The next day, there's somebody else here.
I'd hire him, but city council would cut him.
Yeah, well, of course they would. Yes, they'd ask.
That was a jab.
They'd say his third cousin. They'd say his third cousin's
Yeah.
babysitter's mailman is related to Sharon Pollitt, so we can't have this guy. We can't have this guy. So we're doing our scholarships instead of having a bash. On August 10th, we're going to have all the kids and their parents and the donors who are welcome to come. We've invited most of the donors for all of our scholarships. You are one. We'll get to you. Relax. This is not a city council meeting. We will recognize you.
Thank you.
Let's start with Lawrence High School. Camilla Herrera. If you want to bring her picture up, I can't. There you
I
go.
got a picture of one of mine.
So Camilla Herrera, she's junior ROTC at Lawrence High School. And this is a scholarship that was started. We actually, our first bash that we did a Lawrence High scholarship for $100. Then we went into a guy named Eugene Smith, who is a veteran. He's 84. He just went into the hospital yesterday, so we're hoping he's okay. And Eugene came to me. I'm a president of the Lawrence Lions Club, and he's on my board. And he said to me one day, "You do this scholarship for Lawrence High kids. If I give you $1,000, can you steer the scholarship to an ROTC kid going into the military?"
It's good.
I hope you're paying attention. There's going to be a quiz.
I am.
There's going to be a quiz later.
ROTC going
All
into
right,
the
okay.
military, yeah.
Good. So he gave us $1,000. This year he's giving us $1,300. We have a $500 donation from Paul Lambert, attorney Paul Lambert, a $100 donation from Jim DiNuccio, who's a reader of the Valley Patriot who just wanted to kick in. We love that. We love when people just kicking in. So right now her scholarship is at $1,100. And if you'd like to donate to her, you can mail us a check. You can use Venmo, PayPal, whatever you want. And if you do make a donation and you want to come and present your check that day, August 10th, to the student and her parents, we will bring you in. If you want a business, we'll give you a free ad. We'll give you free love on Facebook, and we will do that for anybody that wants to donate to any of the scholarships. Our second scholarship winner this year is Aaliyah Leclerc from the Greater Lawrence Technical School. We want to thank Jessica. She didn't call me back. I left her a message yesterday, but I know she's very busy counting pennies in that budget. So I know she cut that $1 out of that one thing, and I was so psyched that we saved that dollar. I think she's mad at me because I goof on her, and but she's always, even when she was mad at me last year, she still came to the bash and did her stuff. So I think she's still going to participate. She's not petty like some of the other people on the board. She picked Aaliyah Leclerc. Did we put her up, or did I just miss it? Okay. Aaliyah is going to get. I'm looking for the Greater Lawrence Tech vote. We've got a $1,000 scholarship from the Laborers Union Local 175. We have a $100 donation from Christine Prescott, who is only a reader of the Valley Patriot. Lisa Williams from AFC Urgent Care gave $1,000 to this scholarship. I love Lisa.
She's the best.
And we have a pledge for $100 from Merrimack Valley ASAP, which is former Methuen City Councilor. Oh my God, isn't this horrible? You know who? Merrimack Valley ASAP, Neil. It's terrible. Thanks for the help, Neil. Phil Leahy. Thank you. Gave $100. So that scholarship's at $1,200. Actually, it's not. It's at 700. We're waiting to find out if Tom Troy wins the presidency of Building and Records Union Local 1421. He's up for re-election, I think this week. So what's that? Tomorrow. So the election's tomorrow. So if he wins that election, we get the 500 for the scholarship. If he doesn't, then we're gonna have to hit up our advertisers and see if we can make that up. Next kid is Jake Nicolosi. He is getting the Michelle DeLuca Benedetti Memorial Scholarship. Michelle went to St. Pat's with us, and she passed away of cancer earlier this year. Her brother, Ken DeLuca, started this scholarship. He gave $1,000 at the onset. I talked to State Rep Lenny Mira from Newbury. He kicked in $100. Rick Belanti, our DJ, who DJs our bash every year for free, gave us $100. Celine Izzy Berthium gave $300. And we did a poker tournament where we raised $500, so we gave it to that scholarship because Ken DeLuca came with all of his friends. So I said, if you come with all your friends, we'll give this money to your sister's scholarship. So we're at $1,900 on that scholarship. We usually give at least $2,000 for each kid, so we'd like to get these numbers up. If anybody could make even a $10 donation, it goes directly to the kid. We'd love for you to do that. Lauren Fitzgerald from Whittier Tech. Let's see, we have Lenny Mira gave $100, State Rep Lenny Mira. Our good friend Al Velo from HeatQuest. If you have heating needs, anything you have a heating situation, call Al. Al will take care of you. Steve Spalding, a reader who helps us with our TMF family dinner for the homeless, periodically shows up with food and stuff to help us out, gave $100. Lisa Williams from AFC Urgent Care gave $100. And Frank Quintana from Quintana Building Supplies gave us $100. So we are at $1,100 on this scholarship, and if Tom Troy wins his election, we'll be at $1,600 on that scholarship. The Dan Cody Memorial Scholarship goes to Anna Bono from North Andover High School. She attended Thompson School, which was the prerequisite to get this scholarship. Cody Scholarship, boy, you got a lot of donations here. We've got Maureen Connell Schaffenville gave $100. Ken DeLuca gave $100. Our friend Al Velo gave $100. Ed Sullivan, my former producer, who I think got fired because I said he looked at me funny one day and they threw him out the door. He gave $200. Greg Morris from Lawrence DPW gave $100. Gail Linton gave $75. Frank Quintana from Quintana Building Supplies gave $100. Rick Belanti, our DJ, gave $100. North Andover, Mark DeSalvo, who is the North Andover
Town moderator,
thank you, gave $100. We got a $600 donation from Adriana Santana, who sent us in just randomly on Venmo. It showed up with an email saying, please put this to the Cody Scholarship. We raised $150 from our poker tournaments. Gail Linton gave $300, and Kathleen Izzy gave $300. So that scholarship's at $2,480. That kid really made out.
Nice.
That kid really made out. And the last one is the Patricia Perry. It's Patricia Perry Memorial Scholarship, donated $1,000 by Mayor Perry, is going to go to Zoe Tui. And you've got another student that you're going to...
I'm giving two $1,000.
You're going to give another $1,000 scholarship. Do we know who the student is?
Ben's got it.
Ben's got it. How about that? So this is...
Kerry Horan.
Oh,
Kerry Horan.
Methuen High grad. Yep.
Yes.
All right. Excellent.
Going to Suffolk.
And so,
great family.
What a great picture. So, if you could forward that over to me, that would be great. So we're going to try and put a little program together that they can keep. This is something every year we do at the Bash. We give an award to a police officer that's done something heroic, a firefighter that's done something heroic, a couple of veterans that have helped other veterans after serving and coming back. And we're not going to be able to do any of that this year. I'm completely heartbroken. But we are going to take the money. Anybody who wants a refund, we will give you a refund if you paid for tables in advance or tickets. Most people have said, no, we want to come to the Bash next year, just roll it over. But if you want a refund, please let me know. Otherwise, we're going to roll it over, and we're already starting to plan for next year's Bash. So that's the Bash stuff. We want to thank Neil Perry. I want to thank all of the donors. If you gave, please feel free to come August 10th. Please let us know if you can't make it, so we'll try and find a way to make it up to you another way. Sitting with me is Neil Perry and Joe Silverio from 4-Star Lighting. So, Joe, you have a business in Methuen. Mm-hmm. You didn't close down during COVID. How tough was it? Trying to stay open and service people's lighting needs and keep your business and your employees safe during all of this COVID hysteria?
It was extremely difficult. However, what we did do is we kept everybody busy. I think last time when I was on, I explained that we did what we could do. We tried to pay all our guys, whether they worked a full week or a half a week. We did apply, like I told you, for the PPP loan, and we got it on the second round. We wanted to make sure we kept our employees, and we didn't want them to get hurt.
Right.
We also took precautions whenever we went into people's homes. We would ask if they were sick. We would ask, do you would like us to wear masks? Do you want us to wear gloves? And people were very, very receptive. However, the phones weren't ringing as much as they normally would. And I think a lot of that had to do with, obviously, the virus and people being scared about having people come into their homes. So we just basically kind of tightened our belts and buckled down and did what we could do. And I have to say, thank God, I'm very, very happy. I'm extremely busy right now. We've hired another guy, which makes me feel even better because we've created another job and we have the work to support that. And I have to say that your paper, and I know it sounds like a shameless plug towards it, but it's done very, very well for us.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate that.
Thank you. And we promote the hell out of you on social media too. Whenever there's like a big story, I always wait if somebody gets shot or there's a big fire or something, and all of a sudden everybody's sharing my stuff and I see that the activity on my page is higher, I'll take a screenshot of your ad and I'll just throw it up because I know more people are looking right now, and we try and promote you because you're a Methuen business that's trying to do right by your employees. You're obviously you're helping us, which we love. And you're also a decent guy. I mean, you're not one of these people that it's just all about you.
Correct.
It's about serving your customers. It's about helping your employees. And so, we want to help businesses that do that. We want to help businesses that help in the community.
I appreciate that. I really, really do. I have to say that I'm extrembly excited because I'm sitting next to the mayor. I feel like I'm next to a famous person.
Yeah, he is pretty famous.
I have to be honest.
Yeah, he is.
I mean that. I'm feeling a little timid, to be honest with you.
Don't be intimidated.
So one of the things I wanted Neil Perry today to do, and one of the reasons I had Joe here, is because I go back and I watch the shows a lot. And I think a lot of the things that we talk about might go over some people's heads because they're not in the weeds like we are. They don't understand net school spending. They don't understand certain terms. So I thought having him here would be good because when we talk about the budget, which we're going to do now, maybe we can put it in dumb it down a little bit, for lack of a better word, for the average person out there so that they actually understand what some of this stuff is. So you passed a budget, finally passed the city council. It's a 1-year budget. But you still don't know how much money is coming in. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, working with the chief administrative financial officer and talking to the fiscal stability officer, we've estimated what the revenues coming into Methuen is. And so we've, for example, local taxes, we've anticipated a 15% decline in that. So that's all factored in. And when you add it all up,
when you say local tax, you mean property taxes or everything, including like meal tax?
Yeah, everything. But some of them we took a steeper. So on the meals tax, we took a steeper grade. Now, in Methuen, the meals tax goes directly into the stabilization account. So I want to start. I said this last week, and people asked a lot of questions. So some people have accused me of being a spender.
Yeah, I heard Jessica say that a few times. I almost fell off my chair.
I didn't say who said it.
No, but I did.
Yeah.
I'll say who it is.
Yeah. So,
I don't mind being bad cop. I'm actually good at it.
But it's important for the citizens to know that, budgeting is something I consider a strength. So during a very difficult year, as I can sympathize, we finished in the black $2.8 million in the city of Methuen. And so
when you say finish, you mean you finished last year's budget?
$2.8 million ahead. We didn't spend, so we saw.
Can you roll that, or did you lose it?
So a great question. So what happens in the state of Massachusetts? It drops to what free cash, and then typically the state would not certify using that amount until October. They've waived that to make it available to cities to use much faster.
So when you say free cash, you've got a line in the budget that is kind of like a slush fund, I guess. For lack of a better
I don't
term,
like slush fund.
I mean, but that people understand what that means.
So think of it this way: if you're budgeting at home, right? It's money you keep in the event of an emergency, right?
A rainy day fund.
Yeah,
right. So, but will you take that $2.8 million and put it towards other programs, or is it there just in case we need it?
Well, so great question. So the answer is a little bit of both. It has to be approved. Its use has to be approved by council.
Okay.
And so one of the things, I'm hoping that, the relationship with council improves because we're going to have to use some of that depending on what happens in the fall. And that's just straight up. So we have been fiscally conservative in our budget and our approach. So we now have $5.6 million in free cash.
Nice.
Now the state says you should have more. We have almost $3 million in a little over $3 million in stabilization, which is another. You don't want to use that for one-time events. The state says it should be 5% of your general fund. The general fund in Methuen is $178 million. So if you do 5%, you really should have like almost $9 million there. So we're not where we are. We're not where we should be. But my administration has put more into rainy day accounts than any in the previous 5 years. And so I say that, and I haven't.
But you're a big spender, though.
Well, I'm trying to dispel that. So that's not true. So you should know that I look at every purchase that comes out of the city, right? And we saw what was coming here. We clamped down, and the reason we did that is because we don't want to come up with you're limited by law on how much you can increase taxes, right? And from a business and a personal, you don't want to increase them to the point where you're chasing people out of the city, right? That's coming, and one of the
where are they going to go, Lawrence?
Well, if truth be told, Salem, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So you just need to go up the street here a little ways. You can see that huge development happening, which has slowed down a little bit because of the pandemic. But we want businesses like Joe's to want to stay in Methuen,
right?
And not just because they live in Methuen, but because Methuen has not had a track record of being friendly to businesses, right? And we're trying to change that. Now, I'm not going to bash the council. I know you'd love me to, but
I'll do it though.
They cut a position.
I don't mind doing it.
So I mean, the irony is they cut the position in my office that was focused on bringing the business community together. And
the person that they cut. Let's just talk turkey here.
Yeah.
They cut Tom Lucier,
Yeah.
who was Sharon Pollard's husband, because they hate Sharon Pollard.
Yeah.
This wasn't because the position wasn't needed. It wasn't for fiscal responsibility. It was because of petty personal politics. They hate Sharon Pollard. They don't like the fact that you hired her husband, and so they cut him out of the budget, which to me I think smells of a lawsuit, because you can't retaliate. You can't cut a position because of the person who holds it.
They didn't cut the position, so they were smart when they did the talk. So I would say this to you. It's a little bit of cutting your nose off to spite your face, right? So you and I had long talks when I picked Tom, and Tom is a much different thinker than I am, politically and otherwise.
That's for sure.
But you. I
mean, I like the guy, but
you don't surround yourself with people who think exactly like you do. Because if you do, then you just get a group of yes men and yes women who just say, "Yeah, I'll do that." Okay.
Listen, my editorial board believes nothing that I believe.
Yeah.
I have to fight for every editorial that I write, every single one. I usually win, but boy, those are tough.
Yeah. Well, and so the honest to God truth is, the line that was used is we cut new positions. We all know that's malarkey. Right? That position has existed. I refocused what it was doing. The executive assistant to the mayor, don't take my word for it. Go look at it.
Right.
It's been there for 30 years.
Right.
So the office is busy enough with the 3 people working in it. With just the 2 people, my chief of staff and myself, it's going to be insanely busy.
And they want to get rid of her too.
But,
I mean, they tried to stop her from getting the job because they didn't like her.
They did, but so like I did last week, you got to use facts and you got to dispel fiction.
And data.
Right. So while we were talking last week, somebody texted you and said, Lucia was a made-up position making $97,000. Not made up, not $97,000.
Right.
And you don't have to take my word. Look what council cut. They cut $74,000, which was his salary.
Right.
Right. So people can say what they want. You have to, at some point in time, recognize that the facts just ruin a good story.
Right. So for people at home, you had, before you took office, the mayor's position, not you, not Juga, but just the mayor's position, was allowed to have 3 people in the office.
Correct.
And it's the mayor who can give whatever title they want and give whatever tasks that they want to those 3 people.
Yeah.
One of those positions you gave to Tom Lucier, and you gave it a different title than what it was before, which then allows the liars on the council to mislead the public to say it's a new position because that title never existed before, but the position did.
But I paid him
I
paid him under the wage classification. All he did was refocus where he was. He was going to be the business focus. Right. Now somehow I'm already working 18-hour days.
I know you are.
So sometime I've got to find more time to engage with the business community and talk about how we make things better so that businesses like Joe's don't want to leave Methuen.
Right.
And I guess to me it's short-sighted, but it is what it is, right? So they made the decision. They also made the decision on the assistant solicitor, which is mind-numbing to me.
Right. But it was all punishment. Like when I watch, I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
But people need to understand the context. when I watch Methuen City Council meetings, I watch Lawrence City Council meetings, I watch the Board of Selectmen meetings in North Andover. They're all looking for what's best for their community. For the most part, they're very, very rarely do you hear that they don't like a particular person, so they're trying to cut this person. And when it comes to Methuen, it seems like everything they do is about petty personal politics, whether it's cutting Tom Lucier, going after Jana. It's Jana. No matter what they're doing, it doesn't seem like we're all Team Methuen like you kind of thought it was going to be.
Well, I still am. So I wake up in the morning thinking about how to make Methuen better. And I say this candidly. If the people in Methuen decide to vote me out in 2 years, I'm not going to leave with any regrets. But I'm not selling my integrity either.
Right.
I got elected to do the job. I got elected based on a change, and I'm going to try to change the culture. And it's simply what I'm trying to do. And people will disagree with what to me, the hardest part is that the average person can't follow. People use pieces of data to support their argument with it. So the point that was made in one of the letters that I read the other night, that Section 2.4 of the Charter says that the law department, everything in the law department should be under the solicitor. If you read further, in Section 3.3 of the Charter, it calls out the assistant solicitor as reporting to the administrator. This is the administrator. Right? So the point I'm making is not that it does contradict itself, and it's a problem. But people use the facts that support their argument and ignore the facts that don't support their argument. And that's the reality of the situation, right?
And then they purposely try to mislead people because they know that if you're explaining and you're on the defense, you're losing in politics.
So think about this. I don't know if you watched the other night. I think you did. You were streaming.
I did.
So a certain counselor questioned me on why I would have the $250,000 legal outside counsel in my budget versus legal. And I used the Bill Parcells quote. I said, if you're going to make me shop, you got to let me pick the vegetables. Right? By charter, that has to be done through the solicitor. One counselor, actually two counselors, one did it in the newspaper, one did it at the meeting the other night, said, you're just doing that so you can take that money and restore, Tom's position.
Right.
And
which would have been brilliant. Which would have been brilliant had you thought of it. But
no, the problem with it is you can't do that legally.
Right.
Money that's in other expenses and money that's in personal services. If I wanted to use money from other expenses to pay for personal services, I have to go to the council and get their approval to do that.
Right.
So it pained me to have to instruct the council that you're
their own job.
You're putting like a fear theory out there that's not possible.
Right.
And I say this, moving the legal budget was, the meeting before, I had a counselor tell me, we'll fund the assistant solicitor if you give, the assistant solicitor to the city council. And
sounds like blackmail to me.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is the city needs a lot of legal help. And so now, unfortunately, what you're going to see is almost every council meeting, there'll be a request from the solicitor for outside legal services. And maybe that's the best way to do it, but it's going to. The solicitor is the only one in his office, and I can tell you right now, he's got 3 requests from me today alone. Right, some of which I need pretty quick decisions on a legal path forward. And as a business owner, you can't reach out to a lawyer and say, okay, get back to me in 3 weeks. Right. It won't work that way.
You know what's staggering, and I've seen this because I've been in this business way too long. And it's not unique to Methuen, although it's going on in Methuen right now, is that all of the people on the council spend all their time trying to strip power from the executive, but they all want to be mayor. It's hilarious.
I don't know if they all do. Some of them.
But a lot of them do. So it's funny because you're sitting there and you're watching, like we all know Saber and McCarty and Jessica all want to be mayor someday, and yet they do everything they can to cut power from the mayor's office.
Do you think the chair really wants to be mayor?
Yeah,
I don't see that.
Oh, I do, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I do. I know. Ultimately, he wants to be a state rep or a state senator, but I think he wants to go to mayor first. Just my opinion.
Maybe.
But either way, you've always had councilors in Lawrence, Methuen, who they spent all of their even in Congress, right during Obama's term. Congress did everything they could to increase the power of the executive, and then Trump became president. And it's no. Now we have to cut the power of the executive, and they spend all of their time chasing their tail. That at the end of the day, you have to look at what gets accomplished, and it's very little when they engage in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. So I'm not going to I'm not going to buy into the presidential comparison, but I'm going to tell you that
I liked it. I did like it.
I quite frankly think, and we've got some good representation from Massachusetts that I talk to frequently, but I think Washington's a mess right now.
Yeah, it is.
And it's, checkmate. And I give you the example that, financially, the predicament we're in Methuen, we're estimating $7 million less in revenue, not mismanagement, so I want to keep going back because people say, the cops caused this, but it's got nothing to do with
The schools actually caused it. It was the schools that were over budget that made you get a CAFO.
Stop. That's not true.
Your schools weren't $4 million in the red that you had to borrow from the state because of the schools?
You're dragging out an old horse and beating it to death.
It's still there, though.
That has nothing to do with the $7 million. A revenue shortfall is not a deficit.
Right.
So we are forecasting and we are taking the appropriate fiscal steps. So when you look at the budget, right, you look at the chart that I showed Ben last week, and I'm happy to send to you so you can put it in the Valley Patriot this month, shows the amount of cuts I made in the budgets submitted by the departments, and then the cuts the council's made. And you look at the cuts I made cuts in every department. I cut 8% of what they asked for. Right, the council cut 0.3%, and they cut it entirely from 3 departments. Mm-hmm. My department, the legal department, which was aimed at me through the assistant solicitor, and the police department. Right, so there was no even spread of let's look at this. So we can say all we want that we took a judicious approach to cutting the budget. The facts are the facts, and I'm the facts and data guy, and they'll be out on Facebook. They'll be
when it's convenient is your facts and data guy. When it comes to
always
COVID,
facts
not
and
so
data.
much.
Well, so you use your facts, I use my facts, right?
So I have a question for Joe, but I've got to ask this of you.
Yeah.
I watched the council meeting, and I watched the superintendent get up and say, we can't answer any questions, we don't know anything, and they voted to give her the money anyway. Yeah. I would love to have a job like that. How do you say to a superintendent, after everything that's happened in the schools for the last 5 years, and she might be great, it's not about her, but after everything that's happened in the schools in the last 5 years, how does the superintendent sit before a 9-member council, say, I can't answer any questions, I don't know anything, and have them vote to give her money anyway? I don't know anywhere else in the country you could pull that. I couldn't do. I couldn't go to my board and say, I need a raise. I need $1,000 more a week, but I can't show you any financials.
Joe's going to love this because this will be the 3rd time I disagree with you in the show.
No, but on what you say, basically what it's like me going to someone's house or someo's business and them saying, well, what's it going to cost me? Well, I really don't know. But
hire me anyway.
Hire me anyway.
Let me explain it. The difference is we don't know what the state's going to give her for. So Chapter 70 is entirely focused on education. Mm-hmm. That's the education money. There are all kinds of discussions out there saying she's flat, and she's made an assumption that it's going to come in flat. And wage concessions were made by the teachers, and my hat's off to them because they understood the predicament we were in as a city. And the superintendent and I partnered and talked to every union together and said, look, this is not a stick 'em up, even though I could have used your bandana at the time.
It's always ready for you if you need it.
This is the predicament we find ourselves in. And she won't know because things are evolving so last minute. So DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in Massachusetts, has come out with some rules. I don't know if you... So bus transportation, 1 student per seat. Okay, well, that's going to drive transportation costs
up. Right, you're going to do 10 times as many buses.
Yeah. So, we're meeting, and do you know who the chair of the school committee is?
That would be you.
That would be me, yeah.
Right.
So, I'm supporting the superintendent right now because it's an extremely difficult task she's got in front of her. We do not know if the decision to go flat line for Chapter 70 is going to work or not. Right. And she knows that if it comes back in October and says you're going to get a little less, there could potentially be layoffs of teachers. And we don't want that, with our students. But a lot of this plan of how we go back to school is still coming out gradually.
I know, it's so crazy. It's just so crazy.
So
most 99% of the kids out there, they either don't get it or don't pass it or don't get sick if they do get it. And we all know that it's the seniors that get it that are most affected. People like me who have autoimmune issues.
Not so fast, my friend.
He's got some more stats.
Not so fast, my friend. Yeah, I was waiting for you to blunder into that.
Yeah, okay.
And here you have.
Again, I'm happy to play bad cop.
So while it's true what you said about the deaths, The numbers in Methuen say that the people in the under 19 and the 20 to 29 category are the greater growth categories now.
Of cases?
Of cases.
Not sickness.
Well, sickness. Yeah.
Well, no,
Or
because
positives.
there are people who test positive that feel fine. They just test positive.
Yeah, but the quarantined. So if we're in school,
right,
and we're in the same reading group, clearly Joe and I would be in a different reading group than you.
Right. I'm in the remedial class.
How are you going to feel? How are our parents going to feel if you come to school sick and you spread it, right?
But I'm spreading it to other kids who, again, 99% of them are not going to get sick from it.
But you don't know. You see, you're going out on a tree here saying, well, there aren't going to be that many deaths. You don't know because underlying symptoms are what lead to deaths, right? Many children have underlying symptoms and don't discover them for quite some time. I am probably going to be I'm a big supporter of a hybrid return to school policy. And I get that it's hard with working parents, right? But I assume from the laughs you guys are.
Oh, yeah, no, we think it's all crazy, but we love you anyway.
Yeah. So, and it's good that we can agree to disagree.
Right.
So our rate is low. The city almost came unhinged when we announced that the governor expanded and stop the spread testing in Methuen. Oh, my God, we must be. No, this is a good thing. We want as many people to make appointments with AFC Urgent Care between now and August 14th.
Love AFC tested. Urgent Care, yep. Go to AFC and get tested. It is free, yes.
Now, let me just say, you have to give them a credit card when you make your appointment because if you don't show, Joe,
they charge you.
They'll charge right? Because you sucked up their time, right?
Right.
But if you're asymptomatic, meaning you don't have any symptoms, free. Do it before August 14th. I am going to have my gallbladder surgery next Friday. Thank the good Lord. I need to go back to eat ice cream.
So no poker game Friday then?
Well, it'd be hard for me.
We come into the hospital. We come into the hospital and deal Trusta.
No, I'm not going to. I'm told I'll be released that day.
Oh, okay.
So, I think you got to take a look at all the possible ramifications. We've got teachers who are anxious about getting it too, right?
I could see that. I understand that as well.
And so we're trying to make the best possible decision. Will it make everybody happy? No, it won't. But, I'm going to talk to the superintendent tonight because I think we should be using our public access channels too. We should be doing lessons on, tape for people that are remote so that they can see, Joe saying, hey, here's how you install lights, right?
They sent an email out and they wanted to basically question everybody who has children into the system. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm like, yep, let's go back to school.
Yeah.
Let's go back to
school.
A
lot of people feel that way.
And I think part of my reasoning, and we talked a little bit about.
Does that mean you want your children to die?
No. That's not
because it kind of sounds like that's what the mayor's saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
I'm just saying.
I think I understand.
He's a dramatist.
Listen, I understand the science.
Yeah.
I understand the medical end of it.
Yep.
There's a social aspect and there's a mental health aspect.
I agree with that.
I'm concerned about it because I've seen it in my children.
Yeah, I hear.
And it's not just my kids.
I do a show once a week. Tom hates that.
He agrees to do my show, and then he goes out and gets his own show. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Well, it's a good show, isn't it, Rich? To me, one of the best shows we had a show on race relations yesterday. But John Crocker, who's the director of mental health for the schools, we did a show all on depression, and we just scratched the surface. I got to get him back because there is a lot to be said about the fact that the disruption in the routine, right? I'm a divorced dad. And, each of my children struggle with the divorce in different ways. And one of my children really struggled with it. And my whole advice to him was there's strength in the routine. Stick to the routine. Yeah. Stick to the routine. And he fought his way through it by sticking to the routine. So I do understand that, not being able to socialize, not being able to participate in sports, those have impacts. Having said that, we still have to make the decision, the best decision overall for everybody.
Should we do this now for any disease that comes out that 0.01% of the population is going to die from, whether it's the flu
0.01? I knew we'd get to that.
Some other. I mean, if we're going to do this now because we're all freaking out about COVID because it's never been here, we've had other coronaviruses, and there's going to be more coming, I'm sure, at some point. And we have other diseases where people die at a much higher rate, like the flu or others. Are we going to start doing this now, like every 6 months we're going to be closing things down because there's some kind of new disease that
I
0.01%
know.
of the population is going to die
I
from?
guess what I'd say to you is I'll use some of the argument that people like you use against you.
Okay.
Right? So Dr. Fauci, there you go.
The guy that told us not to wear masks because that would give us COVID-19.
I love that you did that because that's where I was headed. You got there before me.
Very good.
So here's our dilemma in this country. We have become a black and white society.
Right.
And I don't mean race relations. I'm talking about we want COVID. What's the answer right now, Joe? Give it to me, right?
You're right.
If you don't have it, then you're stupid. You don't know, right? If you're faking us out. So they originally said don't wear masks unless you are
high risk.
Right. And then they altered it, and people like a certain editor of a local paper said, what the hell? They don't know what they're doing. They're lying to us. I don't think they're lying. I think they don't know, and they're trying to feel their way along with some of this stuff and figure it out, right?
That's a pretty good answer. I mean, they don't
I love
know.
this guy.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something, though.
Yeah.
Dr. Fauci came out yesterday and said that we should all wear goggles now.
Oh, God.
Okay.
I got enough problem with when I put the mask on, Joe, I can't see you because everybody tells me there's a solution. I breathe into the mask and it fogs. I went in, I had my appointment with my surgeon this morning at Leahy Clinic, and I went in and he said, hi, Mr. Perry, I'm Dr. So-and-so, and I'm like, where are you?
Listen, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have to make an approach that affects everybody.
Yeah.
I understand that. But one of my things when we talked about the mental thing that happens to them, I worry more about it with the younger kids.
I agree.
Because
younger
that's
kids
their
can't
time.
do as much. So I agree with you on that.
You know,
the younger you are, like kindergarten through
third grade,
yeah. There's a greater need for
socialization.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. See that teacher, know that teacher, understand. I have, and I say this, I have no clue how you do kindergarten remotely.
You can't.
Right? As a guy so remember, before I went 40 years at Raytheon, I taught bilingual 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And it was difficult at best.
At that age.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Trying to get their attention, trying to get them to focus, I worry about, and I'm going to say this and people are going to, Rich, I don't know what your thoughts are. You almost need like a contractual commitment from parents, right? Because too many people are just going to,
right.
You can't let little Johnny sit at home and play video games all day. If he's supposed to be remote learning, you've got to treat it like it's.
What is the number? I still have a question for Joe, but I got to ask one more.
Ask Joe.
So, what is the number of kids,
guy.
if you know, who just never checked in for online learning? We heard nationally it's about a third.
I don't know that number off the top of my head. So that's something I ask in the school committee even before COVID, and I say that because. The schools were talking about taking away progress reports, which I'm very against.
You're against taking it away, or you're against?
I'm against taking it away because as a parent, I think you have the right to know.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And so the argument used by some was, well, we have what's that tool, Rich, that they log into online? Infinite Campus. Thank you. Right. And so I said, okay, I'm a data guy, facts and data.
It's always very important.
How many times I wanted to see correlation between poor grades and parent logons to Infinite Campus. And I've asked it several times, still haven't seen the data.
Okay.
Because to me, if you're seeing that, poor grades go this way and parent logons go the same, well, and I'm not, that's part of your answer right there. Right? So this is never going to work if everybody just absolves themselves,
right,
and just says, well, remote learning is what it is. I also, for the record, I'm not a fan of, I shouldn't say fan, I'm a big, what's the word?
Dummy? No. Sorry.
Proponent.
Did this guy just call the mayor dummy?
No, I thought maybe that's what you were looking
Call
for.
the Methuen PD, have this guy locked up. No,
that'll get you nowhere, by the way. I'm pretty sure they're more on my side than yours.
I would bet that, yeah. So when you look at, your typical student, right, their ability to synthesize learning, I don't know any other way to say it, is different. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different approach. And that has to be considered in how you do this too.
Right.
Right. And that's one of the reasons, I'm going to push on the schools to say, I want to bring in Comcast and Verizon and say, listen, I'm not going to hammer you guys because you didn't change your rates, right? Give me free 10 gigs of data during the COVID. Okay, it's nice, but it didn't cost you anything.
Right.
Right? And I have my own view that I won't go on the big banks and the credit card companies and the...
Oh, they're making tons of money.
Right. And they're the ones
So
not
pony
helping
up.
the
Yeah.
average
Yeah,
guy.
pony up, damn it.
person, right?
Right.
So he's got a mortgage for his business. If he's struggling, to me, some of those banks should just say, well, let's take those 3 payments and put them at the end, right? But how many banks are willing to do
They
that?
didn't do
Very
that.
few.
They don't do that.
I can tell you Bank of America, just to give them a free plug, Bank of America has my car loan.
Yep.
When COVID hit, they called me. I didn't call them. They called me and said, Mr. Duggan, we understand this COVID thing. For as long as the country is shut down, we're going to tack you don't have to pay your
Good for
monthly car payment until August or September. And
I'd say they're in the minority, though.
but that was for a car loan.
Yeah.
So kudos to Bank of America, but most of them are not doing that.
Yeah. No.
A lot of them went into the regular forbearance.
Right.
Where after 3 months, you still owe me that full. If I don't have it now, what makes you think I'm going to have it?
So
Right.
if you pay $2,000 a month, how are you going to get $8,000 in September?
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't work, right? And so...
But do you also see their side of the coin?
I do.
They still have bills to pay.
They do.
Right. And
So
employees.
I can also understand
But I'm
that.
less sympathetic to them, Joe, because
They've been bailed
and
out
not to get
before.
well, they've been bailed out before, and when you really look at the financials, some of these companies. Let's forget the banks. Let's talk about the gas companies. Until COVID dropped the price of gas down, Mobil Oil was reporting quarter after quarter of record profits.
Yep.
Right. So where is it all combined to help the little guy or gal get by, right? And the same thing happens with, the dilemma we have. Evictions are mandated that you can't do them through October in the state of Massachusetts. So I get that, and I support that. I worry about the landlords.
I was just going to. That was going to be
because
my next
they've
rebuttal.
got
They have mortgages.
Right. So the bank is saying pay your mortgage.
Yeah, talk to Vinny Pesci, who owns a lot of properties.
I get it.
People aren't paying.
Right.
So he's like, how do I pay my mortgage and the insurance on the house and a boiler breaks, I got to go fix it. I got no income coming in. What am I supposed to do with that?
Right.
But
I get it.
I believe that's why some of these approaches are very short-sighted because they only look at one side. And listen, great for the renter, great for them, but oh well, Mr. Landlord.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Joe,
Well,
when you were here last, you said that when all the political stuff was going on last year in Methuen and all the infighting and all that, you said you actually gave before you came on board. You said that you had given some serious thought to maybe leaving Methuen.
No, Joe, please.
Really.
We've got the mayor here, though, so now talk to the mayor about what would make you leave and what would make you stay, because he's the guy.
And listen, like I said, that's why I'm shell-shocked that I'm actually sitting next to him.
Don't be.
I would say this. I really, really appreciate your approach. You seem like a level-headed person that says, listen, I just want to do what's best for Methuen.
Yep.
So I look at that and I say, okay, what would be best for Methuen? People like me, I've been here 22 years, okay? Kids went through the school system. Some are still in it. It's always been good to me.
Yep.
Yeah, listen, people say, well, your taxes are going to go up, but this is going on. There's always going to be problems within a society as far as in a town, city, whatever.
Yep.
I just look at it like Methuen, it used to be reveled about. People, when I was in high school, I had friends that lived in Homestead Acres, and I was like, wow, great place, great place. I just feel like it's lost that moniker almost.
Yeah, I
like
agree.
It really hasn't.
Methuen used to be the oasis of the Merrimack Valley.
Yes.
In fact,
the oasis.
When I first moved to North Andover, I didn't know how long I was going to be there, and I thought if I ever leave North Andover, I want to move to West Methuen. That's where I really want to be. Then all that stuff started happening with the contracts, and then Jajuga gets elected, and everybody's fighting, and taxes are going up. And I thought, oh my God, thank God I didn't do that. Thank God I stayed in North Andover for the last 11 years. Because it used to be the oasis of the Merrimack Valley. If you weren't happy where you were, you moved to West Methuen, and it was beautiful.
Yep.
And now it's been a nightmare for people the last
I'd say this
3
to you.
years.
So first and foremost to you, I'd say is we have not delivered on something I'm focused on, which is making Methuen more business friendly. Right?
COVID killed that, though. That wasn't you.
Well, but here's the thing: COVID killed it, and Council has made it more difficult for me by cutting that position.
Right.
So I'm not going to keep hammering it, but we're going to have a business symposium so that we can talk about ideas about how to make it more friendly for business. Right?
How do you keep a guy like Joe, who's been watching the shenanigans for the last few years, and is fed up because he's worried that the schools, I mean, look at the schools. After everything they went through, the superintendent, the missing money, everything, you had 5 people running for 6 jobs. So you got guys like Joe watching all this going, what the hell am I sticking around here for? Because this is only going to get worse. It doesn't look like it's getting better. It's not on the right path.
So there's a lot of people that feel that way, too.
Yeah, I get it. And I understand that. And all I can say is if at the end of my 2 years, we still feel that way, then I didn't accomplish what I set out to do.
And you'll help me pack.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Because you'll be moving in. We'll be moving in together.
Now, does Methuen? Can you pull those pictures up for the lighting? So, does Methuen, the schools or the police department need any lighting? Because 4-star lighting, we got some great pictures. I pulled them off the website. I sent an email to Kirsten. I'm not sure if she got it.
I want to have them come look at my house.
Absolutely, we've got all this great lighting on the website, and I'm watching this going. I wish I could afford new lighting because I'd hire this guy tomorrow.
Do you do anything beyond lighting?
We do everything.
Video cameras.
We do absolutely everything. He always says lighting, and I want to punch him, but I don't.
Wait a minute. Back that up. You want to punch him?
You get a lot of
Please, feel free.
You get a lot of friends if you did that. You'd be the instant hero of the Merrimack Valley.
I was going to say, Methuen would erupt in joy.
Oh, they would. Oh, they would.
So I, and I'm going to say this. So, what I worry most about is we've become a city full of social media complainers. You have a choice as a citizen. So, and I'm not going to, people are sick of. I could have stayed another year at Raytheon and made a lot more money than I'm making here. I could have retired from Raytheon and taken Social Security and made a lot more money than I'm making here and a lot less stress.
I'd be on a beach in the Bahamas.
Why are you doing that?
You would never see me again.
Because I love the city. And I think it can come back. And I think there's still things that we're doing. So I make decisions every day that may not get publicized that are always done. So
you got to let me know, though. We will be happy to publicize them if you answer a text once in a while.
You got a good answer. He always does. He really does.
I would tell you that people agree or disagree with what I do, but I stand there and say I made the decision based on what I thought was right, based on the law I read, based on this, right? And people want to dispute that. That's okay. My big concern is we've become a city full of pot stirrers. So no matter what happens, somebody's on Facebook or social media, no matter what I do or somebody else does or the council, somebody's out there stirring the pot with the negative part of it. It's got to, at some point, I don't want to get Duggan all fired up, but be the change you want to be. Right? Start looking at the positive sides of living in the city.
There.
Right?
We're in a negative time right now. So
and we're just a reflection of the national scene, right? I talked earlier, and there's people I respect in Washington, but I think Washington's a mess. I really do. And I think, it's a chess game. I saw, and I won't get into the politics of it, the HEROES Act, which could help cities like Methuen tremendously.
Right.
And you got people sticking in there. We want $1.75 billion for a new FBI headquarters. I'm like, huh?
Right.
How is that?
Yeah,
helping?
I didn't like that either.
Right.
How is that helping? Right? Is that an absolute need right now?
Right.
Right. So
and I don't like everything that Donald Trump does. I support Donald Trump, but I don't like everything that he does.
I'm glad you cleared that up because I was a little confused about that.
But no, listen, there's a lot of things that he's done that I don't like. Yeah. All right. I don't think he walks on water. I do support him, but. If Donald Trump came out with the greatest idea tomorrow that would help Methuen, make you completely whole, and make you even better than whole, there are Democrats that will vote no because Donald Trump proposed it. Yeah. And this is the problem that we have in society.
And the opposite is true.
Yeah.
And I'm not. If the Democrats came out with a great idea, the Republicans would block it. Right.
But
so the two-party system is failing us.
Right.
I was just going to say that. Both sides.
Which is why I left the Republican Party. I'm an independent now. I vote for. I've supported.
Come to my side of the table.
Listen, in the last election, I supported Suzanne Bump, who's a Democrat, Diana DeZogli, who's a Democrat, who's our auditor, Deb Goldberg, who's a Democrat, and then I think the rest I voted maybe all Republican. Except for, I think, our other state reps, Christina Minicucci.
Did you vote for Chaz Baker?
I did not vote. I don't know who that is.
He's the governor.
Oh, Chaz Baker. Very good. Listen, I love Charlie Baker. I'm probably the only conservative on the planet that still loves Charlie Baker. We get along very well, and I like the guy. I don't agree with a lot of what he does. But when we sit here and we do these conversations, whether it's with you and me and Joel or anybody else,
I think he's done a very good job, by the way, for the record.
I do too. But I think it's important that when people disagree, that we disagree civilly, as we do.
Like you and I,
because people who watch, I get a lot of hate mail from people no matter what I say.
Yeah.
But a lot of the hate mail that comes in after my show with you is, how can you sit there with him when he believes X, Y, and Z? Or Duggan, you're a piece of crap because Neil Perry said this and you disagreed with him. I'm like, well, how does that make me a piece of crap?
Yeah.
Because we disagree.
It's not personal.
Right.
Right.
It's
and
just business.
So you look at the, you want to touch on the race relations issue, which is
I'd really rather not, but okay.
It is an issue. It is an issue, right?
You went out there and you gave.
I gave what?
You gave credibility locally to this anti-civil rights, anti-American Black Lives Matter group. You went out and you stood with them outside City Hall.
They're not anti-American.
They are.
They're not anti-American.
According to their own platform on their own website, it is to destroy the nuclear family.
Did you come? So we had this. We already had this out on text. You and I. Did you come to the event at City Hall?
I didn't have to. I had people there.
No, then if they reported to you that anything like that was said, then they missed the whole episode.
No, it's not that anything was said. They don't have to say it. It's on their website. It's their declaration of what they believe. To do away with the police, to destroy capitalism, to destroy the nuclear family.
Go back to what you just said to me.
That's their position.
Go back to what you just said to me. What makes this the great country that it is?
That we allow people like that to say what they want.
That's right.
But I would certainly not go out and stand. The Klan could go out and march, and they have the right to do that. But I wouldn't stand with them.
No,
I wouldn't stand with them, and I wouldn't stand with Black Lives Matter because to me, there's no difference.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter wants to do with civil rights laws. They've said it. They've said it on their website. This is what they want to do.
You need to meet the members of the Merrimack Valley Social Justice Group.
Well, listen, if they're fooled enough that they think this is about police brutality, then that's on them. But you're supporting a national movement that hates capitalism, police officers, the military, and the nuclear family, and they say it on their website. It's not me saying it.
You need to meet some of the people.
Yeah, I'm sure they're nice people. I just don't agree with them, and I would never stand with them anymore. I'm sure there's members of the Klan who are nice people too, but I'm not going to stand with them either.
Yeah.
You had to go there, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
I
dragged them right into it.
I told you. There'll be boycotts of this show starting in about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, rightfully so.
Yeah. But we won't lose Joe. That's all we really care about.
Listen, I'm just happy to be here. I really am. I'm excited about it still, even though we're almost done.
Joe, your kids are in the schools. What are you expecting? What do you want the schools to do for your kids when they start?
I just want them out of my friggin' house. That's all. No, listen, I understand.
Yeah.
I do understand it. Yeah. And I have a son that goes to a different school system now. And one of the things they basically said was he's going to be in this plexiglass pod.
Yep.
And he looked at me and said, and we read all the regs, and he said, "I've never been to jail, Dad." He says, "But that sounds an awful lot like jail." And I said, "It's either that or stay home in front of the screen." And I say this because I saw it firsthand. And I have a wife who's a teacher too. She's a teacher in Tewksbury. She's a special ed teacher. And one of her biggest thing was, the structure that those special ed kids need.
I agree.
And she said it was one of the most difficult tasks I had this whole rest of the year, half of the year. And she said, we need to go back to school. And a lot of these, they're coming out with these hybrid models. And you know what? They have to do whatever makes it work. I don't know. I'm hopeful that we make it through this. That's all.
You and me both. So we're
really
aligned on that. And so I got to put a plug in before you brought up schools. So we have the Methuen High School graduation tomorrow night.
Oh, really?
A lot of questions.
Is it a real graduation or these virtual graduations? Is it a real graduation?
Like, can I go there and watch?
Screwing these kids.
You can't go.
I can't go now.
No.
Can I?
No. You can go if you have somebody graduating.
If I have a friend that is.
No.
They're going to give you a blood test. Make sure you're related.
Well, because this. Oh, here we go.
Because you might get COVID. You're all going to die now.
Are you sure you don't want to go into Agenda 2032 there,
I don't
Mark?
believe in any of that.
All right, okay, yeah.
Mark, don't tell me this Mark shit. He is no longer welcome.
The forced vaccines and all that.
It's Agenda 21. Run. Listen, that's one of the reasons I left the Tea Party. No, listen, I was like the Mr. Tea Party for like 8 years, and one of the reasons
drank a lot of tea, did you?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
And we tried to dump some in the harbor too in Boston. But I'd go to and I was the main speaker at a lot of Tea Party meetings all across the state, Worcester, Springfield, and I'd drive down there and I'd speak to these groups, and I would talk about things that were important to all of us. And all the questions I would get would be about Agenda 21, Obama's birth certificate. And I'd be like, listen, you guys are wasting all of your time on these things that mean absolutely nothing to the average person. And again, it's one of the reasons I gravitated away from the Republican Party and the Tea Party because they were so one-minded, one-sided, and they were just as hateful on the very far right as they are on the very far left. And it was, how dare you support Diana DeZoglio? She's
the best.
She's for abortion. Well, maybe she is, but she's one state senator and she does a good job. And I'm not going to not vote for somebody. I'm not a one-issue person. And that made me a bastard. That made me the bad guy. When Katie Ives was our state senator, she was a left-wing, tree-hugging hippie, progressive state senator, and I loved her to death because as a left-wing, tree-hugging hippie, she proposed putting photo IDs on EBT and welfare cards. Yeah. And if a Republican had proposed that, they would never have gotten it passed. But because she proposed it, and they needed her vote on the budget, they needed her vote on abortion measures, they needed her vote on other stuff, she ended up getting it passed. So I go to a Tea Party meeting and talk about how great my state senators. We as Tea Party members have been begging for photo ID on welfare cards for 30 years before there was even a Tea Party. And she's giving it to us, and you won't even let her. I asked, can she come speak? No, she's a Democrat. No, she's for Obamacare. No, well, but on the one thing where we agree, can't we have her come and talk about how we can help her on that one issue where we agree? And they didn't want to. And that's
sounds like you're a big fan of mail-in vote, though. Huh?
I'm not.
I know. I kind of predicted that.
Well, listen, I'm not going to get into it, but I'm tired of the lying about mail-in voting.
Yeah.
There's a difference between absentee voting and mail-in voting. And whether you like Trump or not, Trump has absentee balloted, but he didn't mail-in vote. Mail-in vote is sending wholesale millions of ballots out, not just because you can't be in the state that day or you're working that day or you have to have an operation, but sending mail-in ballots to everybody. And that's just a recipe for disaster. I followed Lawrence politics for 30 years.
Go to the bathroom.
For 30 years, I followed Lawrence politics. And I watched how the absentee ballots, as few as they were used to commit fraud. I mean, we all know who Willie Lantigua is and what went on. And yet at the national level, they pretend it's a myth. Joe.
I just have to say this. So I did receive my stuff from the state. I received 8. Four of us in the House can vote.
Right.
We each got 2.
You got 8?
Yeah.
I got 8.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm just...
Yeah.
I got 8 of them.
Yep.
So I always say...
My house got the correct number.
Did it?
Yeah.
So I would say rather than just taking our own side, that the people who agree with us politically are taking, we should think about it.
Yeah.
We should say, you know what, even though I'm a Democrat and the Democrats say mail-in voting is good, maybe it's not. I mean, let's take a look at that. And as a conservative, there's a lot of things that conservatives have done. I absolutely am against.
Yeah.
One of the first things Donald Trump did when he became president is he canceled the drone program in Africa. Now, Obama was not my favorite president. One of the best things he ever did was say, instead of putting boots on the ground and putting our military men in harm's way in Africa in these little enclaves, let's just send in drones to kill the terrorists and we save American lives. And that was the right thing to do, whether he's Barack Obama or anybody else. Trump came in and got rid of it because it was Barack Obama's program. That was wrong. That was very, very wrong of him to do. So I think we have to question our own side more.
I want to tape of this show.
Yeah?
Okay.
Well, we need to question our own side more, and we have to stop saying, hey, wait a minute, it's okay because my guy did it. Well, it's not okay. Donald Trump didn't go to Vietnam. He lied to get out of Vietnam. The Democrats are right about that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to criticize Donald Trump, well, how about Bernie Sanders, who spent his time in Soviet Union and didn't go to Vietnam, or Joe Biden, who didn't go to Vietnam? Or I'm just saying, let's just be fair on both sides. Let's call our own side equally. Yep. You know, that's where I stand.
Well, I started this long speech with, I started talking about graduation.
Yes.
And I sent you guys off in a different direction. Because I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Barden, the high school principal, and to Superintendent Kwong for the great job that I went and reviewed the process this morning, the dry run. And they have put a tremendous amount of effort in to make this a physical event for the people graduating, and it's extremely important.
It's important for them,
It's a banner moment in the lives of these young individuals, and I'm thrilled that I'm going to get to be a part of it. And they deserve all the credit because the guidelines from the state, I'll be honest, are next to impossible, right? And I know you hate but it's not a surprise to me that many communities said, let's do it virtually, right? Because the guidelines are, you can only bring 2 people. You can't, and some families aren't able to take the whole family to see a sibling or a grandchild graduate, and that's difficult for families. But Mr. Barden and Superintendent Kwong and the team that work with them have done a fantastic job in my mind. So kudos to you guys, and I'm thrilled and looking
That's
forward to
great
it
for
tomorrow
those
night.
kids.
Yeah.
That
So
is.
you've got Joe here.
Right here.
Small
I've got Joe
businesses,
right here.
small businesses in Methuen
Yeah.
suffered greatly.
Yep.
Is everything back to normal? Can any business?
No.
Is every business in Methuen now open, or are we
No.
still dickering around with all these
Dickering?
ridiculous?
I didn't. That's a new one.
Yeah.
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 Or are we?
Charles Dickensing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll get off the off ramp with you. That's fine. If you want to go there, that's fine.
So the places that can open, VFW, American Legion, places that aren't restaurants that do, function halls can open.
Can or can't?
Can't yet.
Can't.
AMC movie theater opens the end of this week.
How about gyms? No,
Gyms are open.
they are open. Okay.
Yeah, gyms are open.
They should open first.
Tonight, wait a minute. So tonight I
Science
got
says
school
that they-
committee. I told the superintendent we gotta keep the pace flowing because we've been doing outside movies at the Loop free for the residents of Methuen.
Oh, nice.
Grease is being shown tonight. I'm gonna get down there so I can see Grease.
I may have to go down and take a look at that.
Well, you don't have a ticket, so I'll have you escorted to the exit.
Yes, but I'm the media, so I'll just come in and say I'm taking pictures for the paper, and you guys will let me
I'll
in.
grab the Methuen police.
I'm
officer and say,
sure
that
the
man.
I'm sure the
is
Methuen
not-
cops would take my side over yours. I'm pretty
How do you
sure.
have time? How do you have time to go watch a movie tonight?
So it's a great question. So, and I say this. So one of the things that will become a challenge, and I'm not, busting council's chops here, is removing that person from my office. And I say this to you candidly, Joe. I'm giving the city 18 hours a day, at least. Some days more. And so this is a challenge to me. My health suffered recently, not just because of the stress of the job doesn't help. When I went to the emergency room at Leahy Clinic, I had pancreatitis caused by gallstones. And so I'm having my gallbladder out next Friday. And I did it on a Friday so that I would not be out of office, right? They're going to release me Friday night. I'll go home, spend the weekend at home, and go to the office Monday. And I say that to you because during the whole pandemic, I went to work every day, right? Until I got sick July 4th. And this job is the greatest privilege of my life. It's an honor. I take every decision I make seriously. I'm trying to do the right thing. Having said that, I screw up frequently because I'm not a politician. I trust people when I shouldn't.
Even after being warned.
I try to collaborate with people because, as in business, that's how you get
You
along.
have to do it.
Right?
That's how you survive.
Even people that
You don't agree with.
you
Or
collaborate
don't like.
with them to get to a certain point. And in 7 months, it's been a lesson. But I've got to be careful because I can't work 20 hours a day and physically collapse. I'm 62, not 42. And those of you that have seen me lose my temper, I apologize at council
You
meetings.
shouldn't apologize. You
well,
shouldn't apologize.
So that's
people-
age. That's age
but listen,
because
when
I get
people-
mad at myself after I do it because it's wrong to get sucked in
Right.
like that.
But
I know better.
when people are pushing your buttons, at some point you have to put a stop to it. At some point you have to say, "Hey, wait a minute." And when these guys are lying, just outright lying, here's what they do because of the Zoom stuff. They've got the microphone, they've got the camera. It's not on everybody; it's just on them. They say something that's blatantly false about you, but then they won't go back to you to let you answer it and tell the public, "Hey, wait a minute, that's not the case."
And I'm glad you brought that up because I want to say this publicly. The charter allows the mayor to opine on every topic discussed at council. He or she cannot vote, but you cannot freeze me out of discussions.
Right. But they do it on purpose.
Well, so the fact that I have to get recognized by certain councilors is kind of, we've got to get back to in-person meetings. So City Hall's over 50% now. It's time to go back to public meetings and let the public come and watch.
Right.
Right? And because it's harder to stop me when we're in public, and I don't mean that threateningly, right? It's easier to block me on Zoom than it is in a public meeting.
Right.
And it's time for the city of Methuen to go back to public meetings. Right? This is important stuff.
And this is Mr. COVID saying this, so you know.
Mr. COVID.
So you know.
Well, so the bottom line is, we're taking a conservative approach. We're hoping that things work out in the fall. Tonight, you should watch the school committee.
Tonight, I knew they were going to do something. Yeah.
I may podcast that now that I know.
They will. You should podcast it because it's a very important discussion. And, I think one of the things is the state guidance has been so slow coming. That transportation thing blew my mind.
Right.
One kid per seat on a bus.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
You're going to have 3 times the bus costs.
You might see more parents driving their kids to school.
Yeah,
That's what it'll
yeah,
look like.
and it may have to be that way.
And
right?
if the parents have 5 kids, They're going to drive all 5 kids in together.
Yep.
Right? But you can't have those 5 kids on a bus because that would be wrong.
No.
And so this is what I say when
you could. They'd have to be in separate seats.
So when I talk about, the overreaction and the overhype,
Yeah.
and you poo-poo it because you think that everything that was said is true.
Poo-poo?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you think everything that's been said is just 100% right.
No.
Even though Dr. Fauci has been wrong about
I didn't say that.
99 times out of 100.
I didn't say that, so don't misquote me.
All right.
What I said is there's a great deal of unknown.
Right.
And this society has become, give me the answer.
Right.
Give me the answer right now, damn it, I want
But
it.
what I want is, if you don't know the answer, don't lie and make one up. And they've lied and made them up.
I don't think so.
And they admitted it. They
felt their way around.
Listen, they admitted that they told everybody not to wear a mask. That if you wore a mask, you were more likely to get COVID. Then admitted later that they only said that to protect the frontline workers so that there wouldn't be a run on masks and PPE.
But that's not.
So they
that's
lied.
Not lying.
They lied. They told us something that they knew wasn't true, and then they admitted that they told us and told us why they said it. And then there were people like you who keep saying that they didn't lie.
What?
They admit that they lied, but you're still saying they didn't lie.
They didn't. So you think they admit they lied? I didn't hear them say they lied.
Yeah.
So I heard them say they didn't know, so they issued guidance one way, and then they course corrected. Mm-hmm. And they've done that a couple of times, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's okay. I just don't like the lie. I don't like them saying something that the science says this, and then we find out a month later, well, actually, no, they said it for a different reason. It's not because of the science, and now they're telling us something different, which might be true.
Yeah.
I just want to. If you don't know, it's okay in this. When I had Ryan Desogli here, I asked him a question, and he said, I really don't know.
Yeah.
And Joe and I said, hey, you know what? That's the kind of politician we want.
Refreshing.
A guy that's just going to say, I don't know, rather than making up an answer. And it seems like a lot of these answers at the beginning were being made up.
I don't know if I want to.
There's no science that says if I'm standing 6 feet behind somebody in line, that I'm protecting them from COVID. There's no science that says that the COVID can get into a mask but can't get out of a mask.
There's a show on PBS that talks about how, not to be graphic, how when you sneeze or you cough, how far the
droplets,
the expunge can go.
But everybody sneezes at a different intensity. So again, that's just politicians trying to.
But 6 feet is about the furthest it can go.
Okay, now it was just.
You would have to be an elephant. To
I know we're way over. I know we're way over, but we've got to.
We are way over.
Right, I'm standing in line at Cumberland Farms.
Cumbies.
Joe is standing 6 feet in front of me. We're both facing forward.
Yeah.
I've got COVID, and I cough on the back of his shirt. I'm sure he's not taking that and shoving it in his mouth when he gets home.
No, he's going to take the shirt off. He's going to take the shirt off over his head, and maybe
I breathe that in, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. It seems like if I'm standing in line and he's 1 foot behind me.
So the other thing is, so if I'm behind Joe, it's not just singular directional. You got to watch this show on PBS.
I've seen it.
So it goes by him as well. Right. It's falling on his shoulders.
Depending on the intensity of the sneeze or the cough.
Regardless of who you are. A sneeze exits your nose at like 40 miles an hour. It comes out.
My biggest thing was that it was okay to go to Walmart, Home Depot, Market Basket, all those places.
Right in Minneapolis.
Okay. With a mask
all of that was okay.
But I couldn't go to Macy's with a mask on. That's all. That's all. That's all I'm going to say.
But no, he's right. That there are some things that it was okay to do, whether it's protesting.
Well, the magic curtain is at the border.
Right.
I brought that up.
Right. So it was okay to. It's okay to riot. It's okay to protest. It's okay to be civically engaged at Lawrence Common for Black Lives Matter.
It's okay to shoot a guy in the back when he's running away.
But it depends. It depends. Just shooting him in the back doesn't make it a bad shoot. We did a whole show on that with the police officers.
I wish I had been on.
Well, you could have watched it. It's live on. It's on the internet.
I'm kind of busy working.
I understand that. But what Joe's saying is right. We on the same night that there was a Black Lives Matter rally in Lawrence on the Common with 500 people, not socially distancing, many of them not wearing masks. Dan Rivera is there with them to support them. Okay. Yeah. But at the same time, he then leaves and they do a virtual graduation for the kids at the high school. So the kids couldn't get together at the stadium and have their graduation that night. But the same night, the mayor is standing with 500 people on the Common protesting for Black Lives Matter.
Did the mayor pick that? Did the mayor pick that?
No, he didn't. But he still.
The superintendent of schools picked it.
No, but they still allowed it. And then they attended. So you're telling us that it's dangerous, but you're there. You're telling the kids they can't have a graduation because it's so dangerous, but you're there. And this is what I think Joe and people like Joe, the average person who doesn't live and breathe this stuff, they look at this and it doesn't comport with what they're being told. And they say, you know what, we're obviously being lied to about something. Maybe we don't know what, but we're being lied to. Yeah. And I think it's important that people are just told the truth. That's all.
I'm still going to disagree respectfully, of course.
You think we shouldn't be told the truth?
Well, no. I don't think you should be told the truth because you're dangerous.
I get you.
So I went to the Black Lives Matter rally in Methuen.
Right.
And virtually everybody had a mask.
Right.
And part of my speech, talk to whoever you said that.
Wait, you spoke?
I spoke. Yeah.
You didn't just go, you spoke?
I spoke. I'm the mayor of the city.
Jesus Christ.
The Lord's name taken in vain. We've reached new lows.
I was going to say that.
Well, I'm a Jew, so I can do that.
You told us you don't watch the news, so clearly you didn't see that all over the country when other protests were happening, there were people there that did not have masks on. So when people did it at Methuen, what did I tell them? Oh, my phone's ringing.
That is the sissiest ringtone I've ever heard. That's worse than Chris Aldridge's ringtone.
That is so offensive.
Wah.
Welcome to 2021, my friend.
Very good.
So what did we? Oh, Black Lives Matter. They all wore masks, and I said to them, despite they wore masks, I said, please go to AFC Urgent Care, get the test, get the free test, do yourself a favor.
We love AFC Urgent Care.
We do.
I wonder if she needs lighting. I bet you she needs lighting.
Yeah,
she does. Well, I got to talk to Joe because I got some.
Fine.
I got some video needs.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, right. Yeah, because you guys are talking about putting videos up. Talk about that. I know we're way over, right?
Yeah.
All right. Talk about that a little bit. So you guys.
So we there's lots of good news happening in Methuen. So this mayor, this administration, with the help of our state delegation, we've redone the outside track. It's about time, so that our students have something they can have outdoor track meets. They haven't had it in 15 years. Well, it'll be finished in a couple weeks here. And it looks spectacular. I was at the stadium today, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud. Bill Buckley gets most of the credit because he worked with the superintendent and the state reps, and he did a hell of a job.
He's a good guy. I went to high school with him.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And he wants to do well for the community. But they're doing a marvelous job there. And the place looks fantastic.
Excellent.
And so I turned to you and say, I'm going to be going to council. They're actually finishing faster than I thought. I thought I had more weeks. I'm going to go to council and ask them to take some of the abandoned property money and put some cameras, certain places in the city.
The Arlington neighborhood, hopefully.
The Arlington neighborhoods include?
We have to keep Linda Susie safe. She's the only person in that neighborhood keeping that neighborhood together.
Listen, I love Linda Susie.
My God, there's nobody better in the world.
Yeah. So, but cameras. So, and Arlington neighborhood's going to get some. I've already enlisted Linda to talk to council about it. But that track, it's going to cost us over $600,000 by the time we're all finished. Now, we get some state grants associated with it. But the last thing we want to do is have somebody, take a dirt bike and go down to a brand new track and hack it up, right? Mm-hmm. So during COVID, much to the chagrin of the police and others in town, I was driving around to the parks and the football fields and kicking people off.
I know. I was making fun of you the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm like, so, go mayor. You're not supposed to be driving around kicking people out of parks.
On Saturdays and Sundays.
I think you kicked me out. I was out
there
with my dog. Yeah, I
probably
think so.
Did. Not intentionally. So I went up to one group that was playing softball in the lower, and I said, hey, the sign says the field's closed. And they said, who are you?
But
and I
it's
said,
softball.
I'm the mayor. They said, I thought Jujuga was mayor. Said, all the more reason you should go home and read, right?
Now you definitely got to leave.
So, great to meet you.
Excellent
I look
to
forward
meet you.
We're going to do a business symposium. I'm committing to you.
Okay.
We were trying to put it together in the next couple of weeks. It'll probably take a month or more now.
My job is to shamelessly plug Four Star Lighting as much as I can because they're a sponsor in a business in the community that cares about people.
I sponsor. Do
Yep.
I get a plug? I
You
sponsor. I give
You're here, though.
scholarships.
You do. Yep.
So.
And you get a free ad this coming month, too.
About time.
Yeah, you get a free ad for
I paid through the
Methuen Cares.
nose. Yeah.
Methuen Cares is still going?
I don't want the council to misunderstand. Those ads for Methuen Cares were paid for by who, Tom?
Out of your pocket.
Out of my pocket.
Right.
So I don't want anybody getting
And he makes so
confused.
much money that I actually usually feel bad when people pay out of pocket, but you make so much that I don't really feel bad.
And we had Thwaites Food Pies. One last shout out. We have two long service employees that today and tomorrow are their last days. Mm-hmm. Sharon Luff, the assistant city accountant, 21 years for the city of Methuen. Thank you, Sharon, for all you've done for the city. And Tom Hargraves, our veteran service officer. We had Thwaites Pie Truck at City Hall yesterday.
Whoa.
I paid for it out of my pocket.
Your veteran services officer is leaving?
He's retiring.
Okay. If you have somebody, you're going to be.
We will open it and do an interview.
Steve Saber wants to know if you can do a national committee and you're going to have search committees and.
Well, they cut my ad budget, so we'll have to see what we can afford.
All right.
We'll
Okay.
probably.
By the way, let me give a shameless plug.
Yeah.
Do you know who would be perfect for that job? And I mean really perfect. Francisco Urena. That guy just got screwed. He just got screwed out of his job as the head of Veteran Services for the state by Charlie Baker. He had nothing to do with what happened, and he did more for Lawrence when he was Lawrence's VSO than any other employee in the city of Lawrence. And you can ask anybody. Don't take my word for it. Ask around. He and or Randy Carter would be perfect for that job.
Yeah, when I interview the finalists, I'm not interviewing the candidates. I'll interview the finalists. I'll pre-warn them. I'm going to make them sing "I Like Methuen," so they better brush up the words, right?
All right.
Beverly Eskel, you could look it up from the '70s. So I like Methuen.
All right. If
right.
you
Will he sing it? Will you ask him to sing it?
Yeah.
No,
Can you sing it?
Listen, if I sing, you'll have nobody left.
Thank you.
All right, listen, I want to thank our sponsors. Let me just pull them up so I don't forget anybody. By the way, JG's Ice Cream. I was going to get you JG's Ice Cream before I came.
Can't eat it.
But you can't eat it, so I didn't. But for the next time that you're here and the next time Joe's here, we'll get some JG's Ice Cream.
Chocolate marshmallow.
And I like coffee ice creams. Like
chocolate marshmallow.
Really, yeah.
You try the coffee with Friendly's makes one. It's coffee cookie crumble, and it has Oreo cookies crushed up in the coffee ice cream.
Yeah, we'll have to get that at JG's. They're a sponsor. We don't go to places that
marshmallow.
Chocolate marshmallow. I always like to get like marshmallow and hot fudge and Jimmy's, which some people call sprinkles, but they're actually in New England we call them Jimmy's. Yeah. And I may actually stop there on the way home now that we're talking about ice cream.
Oh, sure.
Love JG's ice cream. The Jafrida brothers are great for the city of Methuen. They do a lot of good stuff that nobody talks about, and they don't let me talk about it, or I would. McLennan Real Estate, Sam and Matt and Janet.
She's the best.
I'm going to marry her someday.
Yep.
She is the best. And not only that, they're not just a real estate company that goes to work every day and makes money. They help us with the TMF family dinner for the homeless every Wednesday night. They are involved in the community. They've helped out with scholarships at the Bash in the past. They're really good people. And I don't just say this because of these businesses are advertising with us. They really are good people. And whether it's Ronnie Marsan at Marsan and Son Construction, or it's AFC, or it's McLennan, these are really good people who try to do good things in the community. Yep. And again, if I didn't think that, I would just promote their business and not say anything about them personally.
Yeah, Ronnie's been doing popcorn and water like he does at the movies there. Yeah. So he's been doing them for the residents. It's really appreciated.
He's a good guy, and I'm hoping he runs for council again. I really miss him up there. He actually was the voice of reason for a while. We also have a free plug for Horizon Home Care. We're hoping they're going to come back in September. They had a little bit because of COVID. They had some.
Is that for Rulo?
That's yes. So after the last time we talked, I called her and she said, "The mayor says I have to advertise with you, so I can't do it now, but I will come in September." Borelli's Deli, we love Borelli's Deli. I get all my meats at Borelli's, and not just meats. They've got great tortellini. And I was never a tortellini fan, but I had a friend of mine stop at Borelli's, bring me tortellini at the office, as people do from time to time. Yeah. Bring me stuff. Yeah. And I said, tortellini? And she said, well, I got it from Borelli's. That's where you say you like to go. So I tried it. It was excellent. And I'm not a tortellini guy. It was excellent.
Well, tomorrow's corn chowder. I can't eat it because of the current situation, but corn chowder is my favorite soup in the world. Yep. Dawn makes it fantastic. Tomorrow's corn chowder day. Get down there and get the chowder and their sandwiches. Out of this world. Yeah.
And EIS, Eagle Investigation Services, which we'll be talking about it probably, I'm sure, at some point. Everybody has their own theory about conspiracies, but we have the real story. EIS Investigations, they also do firearms training. So I may actually go down there for maybe a little bit more firearms training. When are we going to the range? You shoot? We should all go to the range and just hang out. Go to the range and I'll go.
Anytime after August 7th.
Okay. All right.
Well, let's say after August 10th. I got to
give yourself a little time.
Yeah. All right, and a free plug for Dawn's Sign Tech and the North Andover Car Wash. They've been very good to us over the COVID thing, so we appreciate them. We can roll that up. Next week, we're going to have Nick DeZoglio, I think, is going to be here from the Methuen City Council. He's really frustrated.
I'm not coming back?
You can come back if you want.
3 weeks in a
row. Listen, if you're welcome every week because our viewership spikes through the roof when you're here.
Uh-oh.
Everybody wants to hear what you have to say now that you're not on TV 3 times a week.
Oh.
Guy says, I'm going to give you the exclusive. I'm going to give you once a month, and then he gets his own show 3 days a week. And I'm like, why is anybody tuning into us anymore?
He's famous, though. He's famous.
He is famous, and people do love him. Joe from 4-Star Lighting. If you have lighting needs, video needs, I might actually have some video put into the office after we had a problem with your pal Mark. We want to make sure that he's not coming back, so we're going to put videos up. And we also want to thank Sullivan Insurance and attorney Paul Lambert, who always help us with our scholarships. Ben, our fine producer, Ben Kitchen, who hopefully won't get fired from anything that I said today. You never know around here. We'll see you guys next week. Melvin Taylor says you got to go home. So go home already. Thanks, Rich, for coming by.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.